Yeah, g'day everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. Another tough week for the club. We fall to 11th with a 2-3 record. Let me welcome my co-host, as always, Russ of Dani&Blake fame. This feeling, mate, it's all too familiar for us Titans fans, isn't it?
It's funny because I wasn't on the podcast last week, and the two podcasts before that, we're going, yep, we're looking good. You know what I mean? And now it's a lot different. And I guess you're the same. We're not happy. It was. The last two games haven't been good. I feel like last week's was even worse. Yeah, but we're going to chat about it.
I mean, yeah, we were right to feel that way. There was certainly some promising signs in the Knights and Roosters wins, particularly defensively. But they have all but evaporated this past fortnight, mate. Let's jump straight into grading our performance. A+ to F-, mate. What are you going to grade us here?
Well, I think we're both agree. Fafita started. He was dead set, the only guy that really turned up. So he gets 3 from me. I thought JC gave a decent attempt. You know what I mean? But what's he going to do when the rest of the team isn't performing? So I'll give him 2. And then Phil Sammy's still running 200 meters a game. I'm going to have to give him the 1. He's probably one of the only backs turning up every week, I reckon.
All right, well, we asked you to grade the performance, but we've got your 3-2-1s. We were going to do that later in the show. But
yeah, well, we've done that now.
We get them out of the way nice and early.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
Of course, guys, we are a live show, so welcome in Matt Sheriston from YouTube. We're live on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to have your comments shared on the screen, unfortunately, we can only do that via Clarkey's Rugby League column on Facebook or the Gold Coast Titans Frontline YouTube. But we will try to read all the comments as we go through.
Tell us your 3-2-1, mate.
I'll get to that in a sec. But in terms of grading our performance,
D-.
Yeah, D-. I think it was the closest to an E we've been this season, and there really isn't too many positives to come out of this game at all. For me, the only silver lining, which you just touched on there, was Dave Fafita starting to find form. But outside of that, mate, way off the mark and not even close to a pass mark. You could argue I'm being too positive, giving a D+, right?
Yeah, you're right. So close to an E. What did we do right? You know what I mean? Honestly, don't get me wrong. We were in the game. We were 6-4 and we were attacking their line in first 25 minutes. And then, we had a couple of bad calls. You're never going to say that we were going to win that game. But yes, there was some blatant forward passes. They scored 3 quick tries at the end of that first half and game was over. But we didn't look like winning after that. We did not and you could say, you're probably the same as me and think, what was with our bench selection? I'm guessing we're going to talk about that. Why are we putting a winger on debut, putting him on a bench? What's the point? And why are we putting Beau Fermor up against probably arguably the best center in the comp in Valentine Holmes? And he made Beau look stupid.
Yeah.
Beau
is handy in the centers, but he's not a center. And that I think we all knew that coming into the game. So when we have genuine excitement and X-Factor machine and Alan Fitzgibbon and we bring him into the contest at a time when it's already over, essentially.
That's right. He couldn't do anything. Poor bloke's got in his debut and he's 20 points down with 20 minutes to go. What's he going to do?
Yeah, have fun at there, mate. Yeah, that was disappointing. D+ and D- for you. We'll move into the Titans news segment, mate. This one will be quick this week. Shannon Marto is pregnant, so she's out about 2025 NRLW season. So, personally.
Now. Politi as well.
Yeah, Politi as well. So that's what I mean. Personally, huge congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Professionally, and only from a Titans lens, we have just lost 2 of our best players, but we do wish them all the best.
Oh, 100%.
And Brock Gray, charged with a grade 2 careless high tackle. So he's facing a 1-game suspension with an early guilty plea. So we will talk about that later, who should replace him on the bench. Let's jump into our game review, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as we roll through. Of course, we lose to the Dragons 38 points to 16. And Russ, there's a few different ways we can take this, but I want to narrow in straight on what you said. Can we actually pick and use a full 17? Now, Arama Howe has barely been used in the last fortnight. And against the Roosters a week earlier than that, Isaac Faisal-Malaawi got 0 minutes also. So my question to the coaching staff is, how can we expect to be a competitive side when we have a top 30 like every other team, and we can't even find 17 players that we trust to jump on the field and do a job? There's just no other team in the comp that's done this, right?
Also, we had no Tino this week, obviously, and he plays bulk minutes. We know that every week. He's going to play 65, 70 minutes every week. Why not share it out? You know what I mean? Let's share it out with the people on the bench. That's why we have a bench. There's no point having a player, a prop forward, playing minimal minutes. Like Isaac 2 weeks ago playing 0. What's the point?
Yeah, it's like it's almost as if the coaching staff don't trust them to come on and do a job. Like, let's be honest, Arama Howe, he had 6 minutes this game, I believe. They're just token minutes, though. Like,
yeah, I know, but like
you're not coming on for any point at that except to get some minutes. Like, it's just
exactly
really disappointing.
The bench was weird. Like, like we were saying it from the start. Why is Fafita not starting? Remember first, but we were like, oh, you know what? We're in the fight of these games. We're winning games. It's all good. Now it's proven he has to start. Imagine if he didn't start. How much worse would we have been? He pretty much created 2 of our 3 tries by himself.
Yeah. Colt Sando, welcome in. I know Colt from another podcast that I do, so it's awesome to see his face here. He says, very disheartened by the result. Tino is back, the heart and soul of the team. Unfortunately, we rely on him so much.
Oh, we do.
I completely agree. This game shown how much we need Tino. You know, every team needs their captain to an extent to win games, but we absolutely need our key man and Tino there. Onto the game itself, Russ. It's a really simple one for me to break down. We leaked 22 points in 7 minutes. From the 35th minute to the 42nd. 22 bloody points, mate. Can you believe that?
No, and it was terrible. And they literally just broke us down. They smashed us on both wings. It wasn't one wing. Like that. Yes, Val Holmes and Tui Peloto were having an absolute field day out there. They carved up that side, but then they were also doing it on the other side. We just weren't defending as a unit.
That was the worst defensive period of any team so far this season. And like we can try to break it down, but ultimately it doesn't matter. I could tell you guys, it was just a brain explosion, or we just lacked concentration, or maybe we were just unlucky, or maybe this player wasn't at their best defensively. But genuinely, like, I don't want to hear that. I know you guys don't want to hear that. There's no excuse for leaking 22 points.
There's nothing. You're never going to win games leaking 22 points in 7 minutes.
No, not when the games we have won this year, we've been so brilliant defensively. They barely scored, but they didn't score 22 points in the whole game against us. So really tough to find positives about this game. Even without that 7-minute period, though, Russ, let's pretend we were perfect in that 7-minute period and we didn't leak any points. We were still off the pace. Like, that was bound to happen at a different stage through the game, in my view.
Like, we got a lucky try off a kickoff and we scored in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. And as an example as well, we actually only missed 3 more tackles than they did, but they finished with 9 line breaks to our 3.
They were clinical.
I don't think that was a sign, Russ, of, the Dragons are just so dangerous, their attack was on.
No, we were bad.
Shows how far off the mark we were. It wasn't a tackle break because we fell off the tackle. It was just a straight line break because we completely missed the man. Super disappointing, man. In terms of individual players, there probably are a few on our side that have to be on thin ice. Now, we don't necessarily want to talk about that too much on the podcast. It's just really negative and it doesn't help anyone. But I think most fans would know which players we're kind of referring to. Look, we will here in the front line, we will always support every single player that pulls a Titans jersey on. 100%. Doesn't matter if you're in the lower grades, in a trial game, in the grand final, we're going to get behind you. But it must be said that there's a few players that individually have missed the mark a few times this year. And they've got to step up.
I think we both agree there could be some changes, or there should be some changes.
Yeah, we'll talk about our team list very soon, actually, because I've got a fair few changes to get through there as well. Look, I just think we need to regroup, rally again. Tino's back. Forget about this week. There's not much we can discuss, guys. There's not much we can say to make anyone feel better. And we just missed the mark. Unfortunately, it's as easy as that. 3-2-1s for me, Russ. 3 points. Dave Fafita, of course. Quite far out best player. What I really want to see, though, is this effort put in every week, especially with Tino back. Because while some of Dave's plays were really X-factor-ish, a lot of it was just, really good effort. Putting in that effort.
Yeah. It was just old Dave Fafita that, 2-3 years ago was the best back rower in the comp, offloaded, no one can hold him down, and he looked like that. Especially that first try he set up to Brian Kelly. Like, that was awesome. That was old Dave Fafita. That got me excited because we were like, we're 6'4" here. And then it just all went downhill.
And where that all came from for Dave was touching the ball more. I just feel with Dave Fafita, the more he gets involved, the more his confidence grows. We don't need Dave to sit out wide and potentially make a line break once every half. We need Dave, just like Tino, looking for that ball, looking for opportunities and giving it his best, because as they do that, particularly with Dave, his confidence just grows. And we saw that literally play out. Number 2 for me, Jaden Campbell. I have seen some content creators have him as their actual halfback of the week. So I suppose from an external lens, people were definitely impressed with him. I think he had like 10 tackle breaks. Look, as a team, we were pretty lackluster in attack, but individually, I thought JC was pretty good. And Phil Sammy, I've seen people so far in the comments saying his defense wasn't very good. He still scored for us and had 191 meters, so he was busy. Like
hard
he usually
to give
is.
Someone else.
If there was ever a week, Russ, to say I'm not giving a 1 point out,
it was
this week.
Yeah,
because even I thought Chris Randall, he had 42 tackles, but he missed some as well, and I don't think he had as much impact as I would have liked. So
it was hard. I'd like the Fafita and JC were clear always going to be the only two. It was hard to give a 1.
It was really hard. Affiliates recap time, guys. Ipswich Jets defeat the PNG Hunters 22 points to 20. Tweed Seagulls had the bye. So that means the Jets moved to 6th, and Tweed also improved, getting the 2 points there to go to 10th. Again, guys, we don't have specific stats from this game. Unfortunately, the Queensland Cup haven't updated their website, so not much we can do there, unfortunately. This round, Tweed do travel to Townsville. They're going to take on the Mackay Cutters, and Jets travel to Brisbane. They're going to take on Broncos Feeder Club, Wynnum, Manly Seagulls. So a bit of a rivalry in affiliates with both of our teams facing the Cowboys and Broncos Feeders.
Yeah, right.
All righty. Time to talk team changes, mate. So we've said Brock Gray is likely suspended for this one. We know Tino's going to return as well. Any changes to the lineup you want to see, or anything jumping out for you at the moment?
I've got a couple, to be honest. I'll start with the 1 to 13. Obviously, Tino's coming back. He's gonna go back into the lock. I would change RCG to the bench. I feel like he hasn't. I would start Jolliffe. Also, when's Foran back?
I think he's still 2 to 3 weeks away.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like we need more. I'm feeling Brimson maybe move back to fullback.
Yeah.
Maybe. Fair. On the bench, Brock Gray's out. I don't think they changed too much on the bench. Like, obviously, we're not going to have Fitzgibbon on the bench again. Surely not. Is Loffy back this week as well? I'm pretty sure.
He should be back, yep.
Yeah, so Loffy will take up that wing spot. Jojo was close to playing, so he should be the other center this week. So we are getting quite a few troops back. Where's Josiah Pulu? Surely he's getting a...
I believe he had minutes for the Ipswich Jets. I don't know how many minutes because they didn't have the the full stats up. But I
always feel like he does all right off the bench, and we haven't seen him this year. So maybe he should be having a crack, and probably Jacob Alaquinky for the other spot on the bench.
I've got a few changes, man. Colt is definitely on the same page as you and I with RCG, likening it to Isaac Liu, where it's only early days. No doubt RCG can still turn it around, but
100%.
Early days do suggest we've tried to sign a veteran at the end of their career to mentor our younger guys, and the drop-off's been considerable. Like, I think we got Liu off a premiership with the Roosters in 2019. I think he came in 2020. And we got RCG off a MVP, best player of the year for the Eels.
Yep.
And they've both come to the Titans and they dropped off significantly. So here's some of my changes, guys. Jump in with the comments and do let us know yours. I love Fiona Khan-Pereira. Look, unfortunately, Tony Francis just did not do anywhere near enough to hold that wing spot. It's not even a debate. I'm sorry, Tony. Really talented player. For one reason or another, this little patch of form just wasn't Tony's best, which is disappointing because when you look at his stats and Khan-Pereira's when they both played for Burleigh Bears, when they were our feeder, they had extremely similar stats coming through the grades. So I still believe in Francis, but just wasn't his best spot. I just wonder, how much longer can we persist with Brian Kelly at centre? I know he was the players' player last year, and I know we all agree that he's a rocks and diamonds player. But at what point do we just say, hey, BK, as much as we love your diamonds moments, we can't handle the rocks anymore. We just need to be consistent.
And the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of rocks.
It has. And I was looking at options to replace him. We've got Sam Stevenson, who's only 19. That would be a big risk. And Harley Smith-Shields, I believe he's back from his injury again now playing. That could be an option there. But, the problem
is... There's not much option, is there?
There isn't. If Carter Gordon was fit, I'd throw that out in a heartbeat and say, let's get Gordon in the centres. But
And they don't want to dabble with Brimo moving back to centers because we could be chucking Tom Weaver in there, but like he won't do that. If Brimson's moving anywhere, he's going to fullback. Yeah,
I don't see Tom Weaver coming back in because I'm pretty sure we only re-signed him on a development deal. So that wouldn't. He's not on our Titans website at the moment. So I would think that. I would think.
How's Zane Harrison been playing?
So he stepped up last round into Queensland Cup for us and played really good. My only concern with that is, man, we just got to be so careful with how we bring.
You don't want to bleed him too young.
No way. Have we done that in the past with Kane Elgee, Ash Taylor, Tanner Boyd, Toby Sexton? Yes, we have. Yeah. So we can't afford to do that again. I agree with you though. I think Regan Campbell-Gillard needs to drop back to the bench. Jimmy Jolliffe was one of our best players last year when Tino was out. His numbers are better. He's in better form. And I think for RCG, we just need a little bit of change because he has been underwhelming. So here's how my side would look. I'd have Jimmy Jolliffe and have him and Fodawaker as our starting props.
Yeah, I agree.
Chris Randall at hooker. Now, hear me out with that because I know that's a bit controversial. Fafita and Fermor back row, of course, Tino lock. Now, Sammy Verrills in 14. So what I'd do is I'd sub Tino off for a break, move Chris Randall to lock, and then bring Sam Verrills in at about the 25-minute mark. Then I'm going to sub on RCG for Jimmy.
Yep.
And then Tino back on for Fodawaker shortly afterwards, around that 30-minute mark. So that's 3 interchanges in the first half. But what it does is it gives Tino most of the half for us. And then RCG off the bench to provide a bit of experience. The rest of my bench makeup is going to be Cleese Haas in a middle defensive role as required for the next player.
Cleese Haas has got to go to the bench.
And then Pahulu. Look, I know he's leaving next year for the Bulldogs, all reports suggest, but we need to win now. And he's actually good for minutes off the bench. Unlike, by no fault of their own, Arama, Howe and Isaac, who just didn't get used by the coaching staff. So that's how I run our forward pack at the moment, mate. Would you agree mostly with that?
Yeah, someone was saying Tukey Simpkins has been good in Cup as well. So I don't know. That could be an option. But yeah, I agree 100%. Cleese Haas should be moving back to the bench. It's been proven like for Fafita, he needs to start. He needs to play the game. Cleese Haas hasn't been bad enough to be dropped. So, yes, back to the bench and Yeah,
and I think Cleese is still going to provide like consistent defense for us off the bench.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to have the impact that Dave and Bo have, but that's fine. Not everyone is an X-factor back rower. Sometimes you need like a Jacob Preston in your side or someone that's just going to work hard. And Cleese does fit that role for us. Righty, mate. So that's how we both, that's both the changes we would make to our lineup. Let's go ahead and preview the game. So Sunday, 2 p.m, we're back at Seabus Super Stadium on the beautiful Gold Coast against the Raiders. And Russ, I want you to be brutally honest with us, because I'll be honest as well. How much of a chance do you actually give us out of 10 to win this game?
All right. After the last 2 games that we've seen, not much. Did you see? But we are back home, and you've got to be confident. They just put 50 on Parramatta. Like they just smashed Parramatta. I know Parramatta's down the bottom for most of us, but they still put 50 on them, and they actually looked deadly on the weekend. If we don't get our defense right this week, they will do that to us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll be honest. I'm giving us a 2 out of 10. We're a 20% chance to win this game. 20%. Now we can up that.
We can win it. Yeah.
But we need things to go our way, and we need to obviously show a lot more than what we've shown in the last fortnight.
Yep.
But why I'm concerned is that the Raiders have won in multiple different ways this year. We saw them blow the Eels out, as you said. They've won on the buzzer against the Sharks, and they shut down the Broncos in a grinding victory there. And one thing that was common throughout all of those was they were 80-minute efforts, and there was great determination. They didn't make it easy for the sides. They didn't allow the sides to settle into rhythm by one way or another. They really punish those sides. And for me, when I look at a side that really grinds and is prepared to break you down and go the full 80 minutes like the Raiders are, the only other tough similar side we've faced in that this year is the Bulldogs.
Yep.
And we came up well short in that one.
Yep.
When we break this one down statistically, Russ, they are averaging more points than us. They are conceding less as well. Their play the ball ruck speed is currently quicker, and they have a higher winning percentage at Seabus than we do. So
it's all going in our favour, yeah?
Well, this is how I think we can win. Please jump in wherever you see fit in this one. Now, the last time we beat the Raiders was in 2021. Prior to that, we go back to 2018. So only 2 wins in the last 6 or 7 years there. doesn't read pretty. But we need to tap into that. We need a siege mentality, and we need to acknowledge that they've been a far better side than us in recent years, and this isn't going to come easily. We need to give it everything. In particular, I want to see Dave really replicate his efforts that we saw last round. We don't need X Factor Dave, as we said before. Just give us consistency and touches, Dave. If he can mix that up with Tino returning for us, that's massive. That is massive in terms of the momentum we're able to generate. Don't forget as well, Russ, the Raiders wanted to sign Dave, and I'm pretty sure they probably still do, to be honest. So Dave has an opportunity here to kind of show them exactly what they missed out on and have another huge game. The other thing for me is really focusing on Fogarty's kicking game. I feel like it's really underrated. He gets Raiders can have
he has one of the best kicking games in the comp.
I agree with you, man, because the Raiders can have a bad set and he just puts an incredible kick in and gets them out of trouble. In return of that, I want to see Jaden Campbell given some space because his kicking game's not as effective as Fogarty, but it is big. He has a big boot.
He has a good, yes, he does.
Boot. And so I just think back to the Cowboys game. Do you remember how many errors their wingers and fullback and they were making under pressure? They literally lost the game in that aspect.
They did, yep.
So kick pressure becomes really important as well. I'm talking like fifth tackle, instead of trying to kick for field territory, aiming, let's say, at their 20-meter line, pull it back towards the 30 and make sure all of our players are in a position to compete or put pressure on them. And just see if they can come up with a few errors. If it's even the first 20, 30 minutes, they look really safe under the high ball and it's obvious that it's not going to work. Okay, then let's go back to a long kicking game. That's fine as well. But I think we should at least give them a chance to get some nervous jitters at the start. Yep. If we get that right, Russ, I give us a chance and it increases to like a 35 to 40%
chance. Well, like you said, like putting the kick pressure on. The Tigers actually did that really well yesterday, isolating Greg Marzhew. They did that exact thing. They were just putting it up, and the amount of mistakes. Like, if we compete, we have people in the air that are actually really good. Like, we can jump over a Savage. You know what I mean? Like, if they're kicking it up, like if we put the pressure on, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
and I think, I like what Colt says here. He basically says, I think Dez's main focus will be on defense. The way Canberra busted through the line against the Eels was concerning for us. We have to have an 80-minute grind. So just to go back to all my points there that I want to see, Russ, that's why I'm kind of nervous, right? Because I'm being extremely optimistic to think that we're going to get all of that right after the last fortnight. Yeah. And then we're not really going to be preparing for offensive footy, you wouldn't think, leaking so many points. We're going to be defensive. And if we're going to get into a grindy affair with the Raiders, I just don't see us coming out on top. They love that stuff, right? They are, I would say, one of the toughest teams in the comp. Would you agree?
They have a great forward pack too.
Yeah, and they don't have they do have like stars in their forward pack, but it's not like a superstar forward pack like the Broncos when they're full strength.
And that's why I feel like where we've got to win. We've got to shut their forwards down. And at the moment, our forwards will not compete with theirs.
No, because our forwards might have more talent, but they're goers. Yes. They go. The Raiders, they go hard for 80 in the forward pack and they fight for everything. I suppose the final note I'll make for the Raiders is I hope selfishly for us that the amount of travel they've had to do in the first 6 rounds starts to catch up with them. Yep. I'm just thinking it was Las Vegas, Townsville they've played in Sydney, and they played in Darwin. And they've only had one home game. So they have literally traveled more than any other team.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, there you go.
Fingers crossed that catches up for them, mate. And we can get it, give ourselves a chance to make everyone proud.
We've got to compete. Especially we're at home. The fans were feeling so good 2 weeks ago, and now the fans are back to where we have been for years. So if they want to turn it around, they've got to do it this week at home against the Raiders, where no one has too much of a chance.
Yeah.
If they want to do it, they've got to do it now.
Man, I agree with you, and I agree with Matt from YouTube as well. He says, when we're almost guaranteed to lose a game, we always compete. I have a feeling we can do it.
That is true.
Matt, the thing is, to me, I actually feel in my heart you are absolutely correct. We probably could win this game just because we're not expected to, and no one's expecting
us to do anything. We weren't expected to beat the Roosters 2 weeks ago. We hadn't beaten them in 10 years or something.
Yeah, we go well as underdogs. We struggle as favourites. But what Matt's saying there is, as much as I love that to happen, just looking at everything objectively and stats-wise, we do appear like we're in trouble. So it's one of those things, adverse heart. if you are absolutely telling me you must make a tip for this game, of course, guys, I've got to pick the Raiders.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we're without a chance. So I do hope we show a bit of fight, put in a good effort for our fans to turn up at home and really start to. Well, let's not forget, like last time we were at Seabus, Russ, we held the Knights to 6. Yeah, and I know they have had massive struggles in attack lately, but we could build it as a bit of a fortress, right, where it's hard for sides to come and win.
Yep.
And we've got an opportunity here to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we haven't had a home game for 2 weeks, have we? So we've had 2 losses. Yeah. And, let's go back there and win and make that our fortress.
Yeah, let's get it back on track. Any final predictions, try scorers, anything else from yourself for this game?
Try scorer, I reckon Loffy comes back and he's bagging a double.
I like it. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So he'd be, I think he'd
Tamale,
be going at, Savelia Tamale, who has shown a few defensive deficiencies. I really like what I'll tell you there. I reckon Alofiana Khan-Pereira comes back and has a big game for us. Look, I can't tip us, guys, but if we get a lot of the things we spoke about right, then we will give ourselves a chance, and that's what we ultimately want, to be in these contests, not be an easy beat, and put up a tough fight regardless. Alrighty, guys, that will close our show here. And don't forget, if you are new here, it's your first time watching the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. We're all over social media. You can find us there, sit with us at games and join the Titans community. And we'll be back next Monday at 5:30 p.m. where we'll break down the Raiders game, preview our next, and talk all things Gold Coast Titans with you legends yet again, guys. So thank you very much, and we will see you there.